What if the man who shaped Russia's future also tortured his own people by ripping their teeth out? You won't believe the truth. The air was thick with tension in the grand halls of the Russian court. The walls, draped with heavy tapestries, whispered the secrets of centuries. It was the late 17th century, a time when Russia was caught between the ancient world and the modern. Tsar Peter the Great, towering over everyone like a force of nature, walked through the room with purpose. His mind, restless and filled with a vision of a new Russia, was consumed by one thing: change. But this was not just any reform. It was a revolution of the body, of the mind, and perhaps most strangely, of the soul. Peter's gaze was cold and calculating as he observed the boyars, the Russian aristocracy, clad in their flowing robes and long beards. To them, these symbols were sacred, a reflection of their piety and status. But to Peter, they were relics of a bygone era, a relic that stood in the way of his dream of a modern, westernized Russia. He had already begun forcing reforms, shaving the beards of the nobility, demanding Western-style dress, and even ordering the construction of a new capital city. Yet one obsession remained deeply personal. In the quiet of a study, far removed from the grand court, Peter hunched over foreign books, his fingers tracing over drawings of complex ships and intricate machinery. He had become consumed, not by the might of the Russian army, but by something far less expected: dentistry. His fascination began innocently enough, a curiosity sparked during his time in Holland, but it grew into something darker, more compulsive. Soon, he began collecting dental tools, amassing a collection that only fueled his macabre obsession. At court, the whispers of Peter's new hobby began to spread like wildfire. The nobles, initially bemused by his enthusiasm for dentistry, soon grew fearful. The Tsar had no formal medical training, no understanding of the delicate balance required to treat teeth. But that did not stop him. His monstrous frame, strong hands, and ferocious temper made him an unstoppable force. If anyone complained of even the slightest ache, Peter would pounce, dragging them to the floor and performing gruesome extractions with the zeal of a madman. The sounds of screams echoed through the cold marble halls as Peter worked his brutal magic. A single, sharp click of metal against enamel, the sickening crack of bone, and the agonized cries of unwilling courtiers filled the air. There was no mercy in his hands, no care for the well-being of those at his mercy. To Peter, it was not just about pain. It was about control, about asserting his dominance over the very bodies of the people who dared to oppose his vision. The nobleman, trapped in his twisted game, could only watch in horror as their teeth were ripped from their mouths, leaving nothing but bloody gums and a lingering sense of dread. Peter's obsession with dentistry became a terrifying spectacle at the court. His eyes gleamed with dark satisfaction as he proudly displayed his new trophies, the teeth of his elite advisors and servants. He carried with him a velvet sack, a grotesque collection of extracted teeth, each one a grim reminder of his power. The sack was never far from his side, a constant presence in the grand halls, its contents serving as a testament to the Tsar's unyielding will. Whispers of the collection spread among the nobility, who began to fear not just the Tsar's reforms, but the very idea of approaching him at all. The court had become a place of quiet dread. Servants shuffled nervously, their eyes always on the ground, careful to avoid any signs of discomfort that might attract the Tsar's attention. The boyars, once proud of their status, now found themselves shying away from Peter's gaze. The Tsar's temper was a well-known thing, quick to flare, unpredictable, like a storm that could strike at any moment. And when he decided it was time for an extraction, there was no escape. His massive hands would lock onto a courtier's jaw with terrifying strength, and in those moments, time seemed to freeze, as though the very air in the room held its breath in fear. But Peter's cruelty was not just limited to the court. He had become obsessed with the idea of modernizing every aspect of Russian life, and that included the very way people looked. The image of a sleek, westernized Russia haunted his dreams. He demanded that his nobles abandon their old ways, their long robes and beards, in favor of the clean-shaven, neatly dressed appearance of the Europeans. The reforms were not just political. They were personal, invasive, and brutal. They cut to the very core of Russian identity, leaving a wake of resentment and fear behind them. In the privacy of his chambers, Peter's obsession grew darker. He would often sit alone, staring at the pile of teeth that had accumulated over time. Each one seemed to have a story, a person behind it. Some were the teeth of generals, others of advisors who had once plotted against him. To Peter, these teeth were symbols of victory, of absolute control. He marveled at the collection as a man might gaze upon trophies from a hard-won battle. But to others, it was a chilling reminder that even the Tsar's most loyal subjects were not immune to his whims, not when it came to his vision of a new Russia. As time passed, the extraction sessions grew more frequent, more violent. Peter seemed to take pleasure in the helplessness of those around him. A look of agony would cross the face of his victim as they realized, too late, that their discomfort had caught the Tsar's attention. One by one, the once proud nobles were stripped of their dignity, their teeth wrenched from their mouths without mercy. And with each extraction, Peter's sense of power only grew stronger, as though he were pulling out the very resistance to his reforms, piece by piece, until nothing remained but blind obedience. Despite the fear that gripped the court, Peter's obsession continued unabated. The sound of his booming voice, barking orders, echoed through the halls, but his footsteps could be heard in the quiet, too. Heavy, deliberate, always drawing closer. His mood shifted like the wind. One moment, a visionary leader, the next, a sadistic tyrant. The courtiers had learned to tremble at the slightest sign of discomfort. Even the smallest twitch of a jaw could send them spiraling into dread, for it was not only the physical pain that they feared, but the twisted pleasure Peter derived from their suffering. His once proud court, full of pomp and ceremony, had become a place of constant, lurking terror. And yet, in the midst of his terrifying reign, Peter remained a paradox. To the world, he was a reformer, a modernizer, shaping Russia into an empire that would rival the greatest in Europe. But in the privacy of his court, he was a creature of darkness, a ruler who indulged in a bizarre obsession that no one could explain. His love for the Western world's advancements seemed to have no boundaries, but the horrors he inflicted on his own people revealed a tyrant beneath the polished exterior. There was no mercy in his eyes, no compassion, just the relentless pursuit of control. The velvet sack of teeth became a gruesome symbol of Peter's madness. No longer just a collection, it was a chilling testament to the Tsar's sadistic nature. The once proud nobles, their faces now etched with terror, avoided his gaze at all costs. And yet, despite their fear, they knew they could not escape. They were trapped in a world where even their bodies belonged to Peter, where every tooth, every inch of their flesh, was subject to his whims. The sack, heavy with the evidence of Peter's cruelty, seemed to weigh on the entire court, its presence a constant reminder that no one was safe from the Tsar's insatiable thirst for power. In the quiet of the night, as the palace fell into an eerie silence, Peter would often stand before the collection of teeth. The dim candlelight flickered, casting long shadows across the room, and the once proud symbols of Russia's aristocracy seemed to stare back at him, each one a mute witness to his reign. His obsession had become all-consuming, and the line between his identity and his cruel hobby began to blur. No longer just a ruler, Peter had become something darker, something more monstrous. The man who once sought to bring Russia into the future had become the very thing he had sought to destroy, a symbol of the past, bound by blood and bone. Today, in the heart of St. Petersburg, the collection of teeth lies in a glass case, preserved for the world to see. More than just a morbid curiosity, it stands as a haunting reminder of the man who ruled with both vision and violence. Visitors peer into the case, their faces filled with a mixture of awe and revulsion, as they realize that these are not just teeth, they are the remnants of a terrifying legacy. A legacy of a man who, in his quest to modernize Russia, left behind a trail of broken bodies and shattered lives. Peter the Great's obsession with dentistry, though a bizarre and gruesome footnote in history, is a chilling testament to the darkness that can lurk behind even the most visionary of leaders.